Hello, everybody, and welcome to the old Switcheroo. This is our irregular Nintendo podcast. I say irregular not just because it's weird or whatever, although it could be, but because we don't have a schedule for this podcast. We just kind of do it as it hits us, as as the inspiration to do one hits us.
Oh, when there's stuff to talk about.
Yeah, when there's stuff to talk about, when there's something coming up, when there's something that just happened. Whenever we can get some people together to do it. Today was kind of like a last minute one. I just decided, hey, the Game Awards is coming up tomorrow at the time that we're recording this. And I thought, hey, let's do a predictions podcast and let's talk about just some other stuff, Nintendo, because Smash Brothers is also coming up in 2 days. So I said, hey, let's do this. We couldn't really get many guests to join us. So it's just me, your host, Tyson, and my partner in crime at the little screen, William Roerick.
Hello.
It's just going to be the two of us, but we have a lot to talk about just because we haven't done one of these in a while. So there's a few things to go over. We're also at the end of the year. We're getting close to the beginning of a new year. So there's lots of stuff around that to talk about, as well as, like I mentioned, Smash Brothers and also these Game Awards, which is less Game Awards and more like a mini E3 presser for all the companies together kind of thing. That's kind of like more what it is. But we'll talk about a little bit about the awards side too, I guess. Maybe. I don't know. Let's start with the Game Awards, and let's start with what I just said we might or might not do. Let's just do that. Let's go right into the actual awards part of the show. So the Game Awards, there's nominations up. This has been kind of a little bit of a slow year for Nintendo. Their biggest game releases in 2 days, which makes it ineligible for this year's Game Awards. Which, so Smash Brothers isn't nominated for anything.
Yeah, Smash Brothers isn't nominated. I think that's what I was thinking of. I think Jeff said it can be considered for next year, but it's too late to be considered for this year.
Yeah, so it didn't make this year. I noticed that, a game conspicuously absent from this year's one is, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which is in the exact same position that Smash is in this for next year. Xenoblade 2 was in for last year, which means that
I think this speaks to what's been annoying me, because people are putting out their best of the year lists and December hasn't happened yet. And there are still games coming out in December. And then these games get forgotten about. By the time next year rolls around, you think anybody's gonna, care about Smash? You think Smash is getting nominated for next year? No. I
think it will, but not for Game of the Year. I think it'll get nominated for Fighting Game. And
no, it's gonna get forgotten about, because it came out in December, and nobody cares about December.
I don't know. Smash is big enough, but I think it will for Fighting Game.
People,
it won't get the number of nominations that it probably should.
So why not?
But I think it will get the Fighting Game.
Why not do these Game of Years in January after December happened?
Because this isn't about actual award show. This is more about commerce.
Well, I mean, I'm not just talking about the Game Award. I'm talking about all these Game of the Year lists.
Yeah.
That come out, because everybody's doing it now, and December just started.
Yeah, it's frustrating because it doesn't make sense. I mean, that's why we're doing. We always do our picks for the total screen for TV. We always do those at the beginning of the next year. We're going to continue that this year.
Because there's still stuff happening in December.
Yes.
Lots of stuff coming out in December, and we would be remiss to not watch it and consider it.
It's a weird video game culture thing that does this, because, I mean, if you think about it, like Oscars, Golden Globes, all that stuff is
Oscars
in February.
Oscars is in February. Golden Globes. Every time people give their best list for movies or music, they're always putting these out in January. It's just the games industry is forget it. We just do this in December. It's no, that's still part of the year. There's still stuff coming out. It's not fair to just disregard all that stuff just because you want to put lists out as fast as possible.
And it's weird how some stuff just barely makes it in time, like Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah.
Just a week in time.
Just made it.
Yeah.
What a miracle, right? I'm sure they deliberately would have delayed all the Game of the Year lists just to give room for Red Dead Redemption to be on it.
Even though we're talking about the Game Awards, right now, the actual awards part, it's fair to say the Game Awards isn't really about the awards.
No, it's
even
not.
though that's the title, that's not what it's about.
It's about marketing. This is
it's about revealing. It's the right time at the end of the year to reveal new games going forward. And so that's what it's about. That's where the money is. That's those trailers come out, people get all hyped up. It causes marketing stir. That's what it's all about. That's why it happens at the end of the year. That's all these aspects about it that make it so frustrating with the Game of the Year stuff. That's why it all happens at the end of the year with the Game Awards, is because it's not really about the awards. I think to Jeff Cayley, he wanted to make an award show that was like the Oscars for video games. He had this kind of dream that this is what he was going to create. And he's been plugging away at it. And, they had the VGAs before the Game Awards, and those were abysmal. Just really cheesy and bad. And then the Game Awards only really found their stride when it kind of became, a reveal party. We're going to reveal new games and trailers, and that's all it is. And the actual awards thing,
you're not gonna get people to watch an Oscars for video games. You're just not.
Yeah.
Like an actual I think the IDGA.
Yeah, that's an actual one. Yeah.
To an actual Oscars, because they're not out there at advertising. Oh, major reveals are happening at the IDGA. No, and that's why nobody fucking talks about it.
Also, unlike the Game Awards, the IDGA is all industry.
Right.
The Game Awards is media and fans.
Fans
media
and fans.
But none of the other award shows are like that. The Oscars is all industry. The Golden Globe is all industry. So it's kind of weird that it's like the industry honoring its own. But so the Game Awards, having such a focus of trying to make an Oscars for video game, they missed the key ingredient right off the bat, which is that it's an industry show.
Right. It's not media. Media doesn't vote on the Oscars.
Yeah.
So why? No, it's not the Oscars. If you involve the media, it's not the Oscars.
Yeah, that's the Critic Choice Awards.
Yeah.
Or the People's Choice Awards.
That's the People's Choice Awards. Yeah, exactly.
It's completely different thing. But to talk a little bit about the actual kind of awards, I mean, I'm not going to do a rundown of the list of all the things. I know for best game, there's one game that's on the Switch, which is Celeste. The other ones are God of War, Assassin's Creed, whatever the new one is. I don't even know. Monster Hunter World, Spider-Man.
It's Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
I think so. Yeah. I said Spider-Man and Red Dead Redemption 2. Those are the ones. So of those, I'm gonna guess the winner is gonna be Red Dead Redemption 2.
Red Dead 2. Like the media critics, they all unconditionally love Rockstar for whatever reason.
So Rockstar is one of, I'd say, two companies that get a bump, a credibility bump that basically makes them almost immune to criticism and gets them kind of a push forward on any kind of award show
because Red Dead came out and all the outlets gave it tens.
Yeah. As a lot of fans were expressing problems with it.
Yeah, it's just weird because I've been around long enough to where I can recognize the media's biases, and the media does have biases, even if they claim to not have biases. And because if you look at if you go through the Metacritic of all the Rockstar North games, Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead, it's all the same story. It's they can't do any actual wrong. It's tens, and it's
I think there's two companies that get that treatment. One being Rockstar and the other being Valve.
Yeah,
those are the two that can kind of just get away with murder, basically, in the industry.
And I'm not and I don't want to give anybody the wrong impression. I'm not bagging on Red Dead Redemption. I'm not saying it does or doesn't deserve all the praise. I haven't personally played it. It looks gorgeous. It looks like there's a lot of good things to like about it. I just get skeptical when people are when there's so much overpraise about especially when especially when there's a historical trend of like everything this company puts out gets like praised to hell and back from like the media, you know?
The thing is, like, I've heard Nintendo get this criticism, like, when a Zelda comes out, they're like, oh, it's Zelda. Like, if this was any other character in this game, if this was any other company making it, it wouldn't get, like, the universal praise it's gotten and stuff. And I think that's bullshit. I think, like, Zelda, even, like, you know, even Breath of the Wild, which I consider personally, like, the greatest game ever made now, that game got loads of criticism.
First of all, the media never misses a chance to bag on Nintendo. Ever.
Oh yeah, because they know it's going to create, like, friction, and they know that friction is going to create controversy, and controversy sells.
If you think, like, there's, like, some pro-Nintendo bias in the media, like, there definitely isn't. In Nintendo games...
There's a lot of people in the media that love Nintendo games, you know?
Yeah.
There's also a lot of people in general that love Nintendo games, you know?
Yeah, there are a lot of Nintendo fans, but, like, Nintendo games get bagged on all the time.
Yeah, there are specific people in the media that are Nintendo biased, you know? Like, you can say that. But, like, the media as a whole, like, the way it functions and stuff, is definitely biased in favor of two companies in particular, those being Rockstar and Valve. Those are, like, the two untouchable companies, basically. And people have said that about Nintendo. That's some individuals within the media that are definitely Nintendo biased.
Oh, yeah, there are definitely Nintendo fanboys.
But the media in general, there's almost as much backlash against it because it's a Nintendo game as there is, like, a benefit for it being a Nintendo game. Like, it goes both ways. It cuts both ways on Nintendo. It does not on Rockstar or Valve. Like, Rockstar and Valve don't get the criticism at all. So that's kind of like why I think Red Dead Redemption's kind of a cinch. Apparently, you know, people, you know, that actually watch the show and can cast votes and stuff, their votes count as well, but it's mostly media. It's like 70% media and like 30% like fan votes and stuff, which means that 70% is just going to wash right over the fan votes, and it's going to be Red Dead 2. I don't think anything else is going to compete. Like, if I could rank them in order of how many, like, what percentage of the take they get of all those games that are nominated for best game, I'd say Red Dead's right at the top. Then it's going to be like a toss up basically between Spider-Man and God of War, with, God of War suffering a little bit maybe falling behind Spider-Man just because it came out the longest ago of the three games of those two.
But then again, last year, Breath of the Wild came out in March, and that one game of the year, so.
Yeah, but that was Breath of the Wild.
That was, yeah, and there wasn't like, there wasn't anything quite close to Breath of the Wild like last year. It was like, it came down to either Breath of the Wild or Super Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, it wasn't as, competition wasn't as fierce.
Right.
Except on Nintendo where it was super fierce.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I'd say the order would probably be Red Dead Redemption 2, then it would be Spider-Man, then God of War. I'd say the next one up would probably be Celeste, which is actually on the thing, just because I know there are a lot of people, especially in the media, that have like a hard-on for getting indie games to win the top awards.
You think they're going to, you know, as much as the media likes to praise indie games,
I don't think it'll win. I think it's the next step in that order.
Yeah, it's definitely not winning.
No, it's gonna be one of those three that I mentioned. It's going to be Red Dead, but like I'm already on the fourth one when I'm bringing.
But the day that the Game Awards gives an indie game of the year,
I don't think it's too far.
I will eat my hat if that.
There's a lot of indie games nominated for a lot of the categories, not just the best indie game.
Well,
a lot of other categories.
Overall game of the year. Yeah,
not this year.
If they, I don't think ever.
I don't know. I think we're getting close
because major AAA gaming companies have like too much invested.
Yeah, but like I said, there's some people in the media that have a hard on to give that want that award to go to an indie game. Like they have a major hard on for that to happen, and they're going to be voting like crazy. And I think that's going to push this to kind of like the middle of the pack, like Celeste. It's it's not going to win because I already mentioned 3 games ahead that are going to be way ahead of it in the tallies, you know? But Celeste is going to get a big chunk of the votes, and they're going to get more than the last 2 games.
Well, Celeste deserves it, from what I heard, what I've seen and heard.
Yeah, but it's going to get more votes than the last ones that I'm going to say after that, which is after Celeste, I'd say the next one in likelihood would be Monster Hunter, and that's because it has such a dedicated fan base to that franchise. And then last is going to be Assassin's Creed because it's just another Assassin's Creed.
I mean,
if it was Black Flag, maybe, but this isn't Black Flag.
No, I've heard this is best Assassin's, and
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's still another Assassin's Creed. Like, it's not an annual franchise.
Have you played it?
No, but that's what I'm trying to say is there's no excitement for it. The hype isn't there.
Right.
You know, compared to these other games.
I get what you're saying.
Have it. Like, I'm not.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, when I'm ranking these games, I'm not saying like where I personally think what deserves it. I'm saying what I think it's going to get in the percentage of votes. I think Red Dead's at the top. I think it's going to be Spider-Man after that, then God of War.
Well, you know what I think?
What?
I think the game of the year is boring. So.
Hey, and it's not. There's only one game on a Nintendo system in this category.
Yeah,
Celeste.
I don't care about this category. I don't care about most of these categories. Like,
I was only bringing up this category as an actual category. I was going to say the other thing is that Octopath Traveler is nominated for a few categories that I hope it wins in, like art direction,
like game, RPG of the year,
art direction, and music. Those are the 3 that I'm hoping Octopath.
It's not going to win anything.
Probably maybe art direction. There's enough retro love, and what they did.
I like how their website still says like vote now. Are they like gonna tally the votes live or something? Like my votes still count.
It's just I think at a certain point they just stop counting them, but they still let you vote.
I am gonna vote for Celeste because. Alright, well, there you go. Sign in to vote. I'm not making an account. Screw you.
You don't have to make an account.
Oh. Well, it says sign in to vote.
I didn't sign in and it let me vote.
Oh, whatever.
I think they're done counting anyways. You're just gonna vote and it's just nothing's gonna happen.
It's just gonna go to nothing.
It's gonna be like Democratic votes in, what was it, Wisconsin, or where the Republican Party was just throwing them away. It's gonna be like that.
Okay, so there's Game of the Year. Best ongoing game. This is the one that's just cares. Who cares? Destiny. They should just rename it to Best Game That's Trying to Rip You Off and Deprive You of All Your Money.
Yeah. Best whaling simulation.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Best game direction, yuck. Best narrative. It's like the same 5 games, literally. it's best game direction.
Same 5 games. It's the same 2 narratives since like 1990.
Yeah, exactly. Best art direction. Octopath Traveler. Yeah, obviously.
That's the one I think it might win. I think if it wins anything, I don't think it'll win RPG. I think there's some other RPGs up there that'll take.
Score, music. All these categories are like the same 5 games with maybe 1 new game sprinkled in per category.
Yeah.
It's Red Dead is like nominated for everything. This is ridiculous.
It's all best sports game. Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah, obviously. Best sports game. Best streamer. Red Dead Redemption 2.
Well, wait, the game is streaming? The game? What game? No, wait, no, it's Red Dead Redemption 2 streaming Breath of the Wild. What the hell?
Best audio design represented by Dolby.
Enough with the awards, though. I just want to kind of go over maybe.
I think what we really want to talk about is what Nintendo's going to have to show at the Game Awards, right?
That's it. That's what we're going to talk about now. We're going to talk about predictions for not just what Nintendo's going to show, but what other third parties might show and stuff. Kaylee said that there's going to be 10 reveals. That means games that we haven't even heard of before.
Nothing for Switch.
I don't know. I don't know.
Nothing for Switch. I know some of the reveals and nothing for Switch. Like Wonder Woman is coming from Warner Brothers. That's going to be Warner Brothers Montreal, and that's going to be Xbox One, PS4, and PC. Then there's Crash Team Racing. That could be Switch, but
I think that very well will be Switch.
No, here's the thing. You can't say that. You can't say that because they originally announced Crash Trilogy for PS4, and then it went multi-platform a year later. They announced the Spyro Trilogy. That's still not announced for Switch. That came out on PS4 and Xbox One. Still not announced for Switch. So, the history is not, it might eventually come out on Switch, but history is not on the side of these games being announced for Switch right off the bat.
There's still a chance. You're saying no games, and I'm saying there's a good chance. Another thing to bring up would be not just reveals, but games that are shown there. If they show Doom Eternals, Doom 2, that's coming to Switch.
That's coming to Switch? Yep, it is.
I think there's a good chance we might see another trailer or something for Travis Strikes Back, just because Goichi Suda has done some interviews and stuff with Haley before in the past. So I could totally see him making an appearance, and if he does, he's going to bring Travis Strikes Back, which is launching in January, and that's a Switch exclusive. So I think there's a chance we'll get a few Switch games.
I don't think that's going to be there.
I don't know, man. I think there's a chance we're going to get a few Switch games from third parties. I don't think you're going to get as many as you would other third party for other systems, but I don't think there's going to be parity by any measure at all. But I think there's a chance we'll get a few. The other thing I'm going to say...
Well, let's talk about the actual Switch rumor, which is Metroid Prime Trilogy.
I think there's going to be 3 to 4.
I think they're going to pull... I think they're going to... No, not 3 to 4. There's going to be 2.
Yeah. No, 3 to 4 reveals and or trailers. And some of those reveals or trailers could be not even for full games. They could just be like DLC. So I'm not saying 3 to 4 big blockbuster, never heard about games. I'm saying one game that's maybe bigger, and the rest of them are...
Here's my full prediction. Metroid Prime Trilogy announced, followed by a trailer for Metroid Prime 4.
A lot of people are saying that. I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay, we'll see. I'm right.
You think that's going to be it, though? Just those two?
I think that's going to be it.
I think we're going to get a Bayonetta 3 trailer.
Maybe.
I think we're getting that instead of Metroid Prime 4. I think Metroid Prime 4 is going to be the highlight of E3 next year.
Well, Metroid Prime 4 can still be a highlight of E3.
But I think it's going to be a big reveal at E3. They're going to do a huge thing for it, like they did with... They
ran the reveal of Smash 4, Smash Switch during a Nintendo Direct, and then dedicate their entire E3 to it.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they can't do that. What I'm saying is that I think they're going to hold off on it until E3. I don't think we're going to see Prime 4 until E3. I think we might hear a comment or something. I think Metroid Prime Trilogy coming to the Switch is a possibility. That's when I say I think 3 to 4 Nintendo reveals. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about huge games and stuff. I'm talking about Wii U ports, Wii ports maybe even. I'm talking Prime Trilogy, Skyward Sword, 3D World, Mario Maker, stuff like that. I think we'll get a few of those. I think that we could also, as some of those also reveals, it could just be shit like DLC. It could be oh, here's a new costume coming to fucking Mario Odyssey. It could be as small as that. I think a bigger chance, what I'm really hoping for in the DLC spectrum is more Mario Kart stuff. Because they did allude that there was more to come for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. That they were actually going to put out more content. And the president of Nintendo, the new president, has pushed for DLC, saying that they want more DLC in their games.
We're not going to see DLC for Smash Brothers, though. Definitely not.
No, it's too early.
Yeah, it's too early.
I don't think we're going to see that either.
Oh yeah, they're announcing Far Cry. A new Far Cry is being announced for the Game Awards, not for Switch.
Well, it was already announced, basically, because they announced a teaser for the trailer. And they already released a teaser for the trailer.
And a new mode for Fortnite, which Fortnite is on the Switch, so that can count.
There you go.
There you go.
You said no third-party games. There you go. That's one.
No new third-party games. Ha!
But
I will be happy to eat my hat on that I am wrong.
Like I said, I think they're going to be a few.
I'm happy to be wrong.
I think they're going to be a few third-party games.
I'm just like pessimistic because there wasn't like any major third-party games for Switch announced last year.
But that's the thing is when I say that there's going to be a few for Switch, I don't mean like, oh, the big games that everyone's excited about. I'm talking about the ones that people are probably going to forget about.
Yeah, but like the Game Awards is all only like the big games people like care.
That's not true. There's always a few that slip in
like
that don't end up being
games that like I don't know. It's some like these artsy indie games like that you know.
And all of those are going to be announced for Switch.
It's always like E3 style, you know, like you know, it's always like what games are going to be showcased during like
E3
a Microsoft or Sony
E3. E3 doesn't have like 4 games. They have like hundreds of games at E3. We just only talk about those 4 games. Same thing happens at the Game Awards. Like there are a lot of reveals that come and go and people just completely forget about. And those are the ones I think that are going to come to Switch.
Well, you said there's only 10 slots. There's only 10
those are
game
new.
reveals.
Those are new.
Yeah, new games. I'm talking about
but they're going to be showing
new existence.
Yeah, when I say 3 to 4 third-party games, I don't mean that they're going to be all new. I just mean they're going to show games, and like 3 to 4 of them are going to be for Switch.
Right.
Like I don't like Doom 2. I brought that up as an example. I think that's going to be there, and that's coming to Switch. It's not new. We already know about it. So that's what I mean. I think there's also a good chance that we might get a trailer for like DLC for an existing game that's out on other systems. And then as part of that reveal, they're going to announce, and the whole game plus this DLC is coming to Switch a year late, you know? We could get shit like that too. I think there's possibilities. I'm not so down on it that I think it's going to be. I think Nintendo's presence at the Game Awards has been growing every year, and I don't think that's stopping this year. Like suddenly, I don't think it's like hitting a curb suddenly. I think it's going to grow even more this year. That's my thing. But that's pretty much it for Game Awards discussion.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Speaking of, the CMU Wii U emulator, the newest update to that 1.15 allows users to purchase content from Nintendo eShop using their valid Nintendo eShop account through the emulator.
This is which emulator?
This is the CMU Wii U emulator.
Okay. So you'll be able to do that for like a month until they close down the Wii U eShop.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can't imagine the Wii U eShop's going to last much longer.
Probably not.
They've already been closing down services on that system, you know, so it's only a matter of time before the eShop goes away.
It's only a matter of time before like the eShop Apocalypse. But I don't know, isn't that using like the same setup and back end as the Switch and the 3DS? The 3DS, it's definitely using the same, and the 3DS is definitely not going anywhere.
It's using the same back end, but that there's still like custom UI elements.
Because I think the main reason the Wii eShop, like they shut down the eShop for the Wii, is because that was completely different to the point where like eShop credits and Wii points weren't even like compatible with each other, you know, to the point where it was just a completely separate system.
Yeah,
they were
the
shutting
Wii
it down.
eShop is using a similar back end, and that happened not at the beginning of its life, but later in its life when they kind of merged the eShops with the 3DS and Wii U. But there are differences. There are things that are different between the different versions of the eShop, and I just don't see the Wii U one lasting.
I just know like it's similar enough to where like any money that you have in your eShop account you could spend on the Wii U, the 3DS, or the Switch.
That happened later in its life. Yeah. They merged those.
You couldn't do that. You couldn't do that with the Wii. You couldn't like put money on your Wii U and then go buy Wii stuff. I know that. Yeah.
That, like I said, that happened later in its life. They'd already, I think, discontinued the Wii eShop by that point.
Right.
Like that was gone. But yeah, I can't imagine. I think Nintendo just wants us to forget the Wii U exists. That's why they're taking all the games that anybody gave a shit about on the Wii U and bringing them over to Switch just so that
that's why they
can talk about those games and not mention the Wii U.
That's why they're announcing new virtual console games coming to Wii U next month now.
They're move away from virtual consoles.
Virtual console. Ninja Gaiden hitting Nintendo Switch NES Online this month. So, you know, one of the best games on the NES, so that's something exciting for people subscribe to their online subscription.
Well, best out of what? Out of how many games?
One of the best out of, well, there were like almost 700.
One of the top 90.
But no, best out of how many? It's one of the best out of like 700 games released in the US.
Yeah, but I that's what I mean though. It's like, when you say one of the best, do you mean like it's in the top 10 of all games on the NES? Or do you mean it's like
a lot of
the best isn't like, it's in the top?
A lot of people would probably put Ninja Gaiden in the top 10.
I don't know. I think that's kind of arguable.
Well, of course it's arguable. It's opinions.
Yeah, but I don't know how, when you say a lot, I don't know what that a lot means.
I don't know, like...
Two people in Kentucky and one guy in New Jersey.
I did do, like, an official survey.
Yeah.
You are being pedantic, sir. Let me see.
Why didn't you come here prepared with a survey? Those are the hard-hitting questions I have to ask you.
4.5 stars, according to Pat Contry's NES guidebook. So, and that's out of 5.
It's out of 100.
4.5 stars. So this is quality. Like, I'm just trying to tell people that there is a very awesome NES game on the service, and you are just doing your damnedest to downplay this. It's like last month we got fucking Solomon's Key or whatever, or was that October? I can't remember, but it was not exciting. And we
got Metroid, didn't we, last month?
No, that was oh yeah, we did. Metroid is not a great game.
Metroid is not a great game. Yeah, Metroid's a great franchise. The first game isn't that great. It's a notable classic.
I think what Tyson's trying to say is NES sucks. Do not subscribe to Nintendo Online.
Well, I say subscribing to NES Online or Nintendo Online is fine, just because you want to play like Splatoon or Smash or something online. You kind of have to. Well, and at $20 a year, it's not bad.
Well, I am happy about Ninja Gaiden on Switch. So.
Well, then I am happy that you are happy. One thing I'll give Ninja Gaiden credit for is it was like I think it might have been the first game that really did cool like sprite cutscenes.
Let me see.
Like at the beginning of the game, it used all these really cool sprite cutscenes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The cutscenes that was really cool for the time. Also, Wario's Woods coming this month.
Yeah, good puzzle game.
Yep, good puzzle game. That was actually
decent puzzle game.
That was actually
Dr. Mario.
That was actually the last officially released game for the NES in the US.
That is true.
Yep. So that's happening if you like puzzle games.
Yeah, I said good puzzle game, but it's more like decent puzzle game. It's not Dr. Mario.
I'm going to admit, I never played it.
I played it, I think, only in, what's that, called?
I never played it because, again, it was the last officially released NES game. It was never made for Super Nintendo, and I was just too into Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis at the time. I
played it through NES Remix on Wii U. Like, it had parts of that game that you could play and stuff, so.
Adventures of Lolo, great HAL puzzle game, that's happening.
I just want my NES online. I don't care about the NES games. Just give me Punch Out and then give me an SNES version instead.
Yeah, SNES Online. That could happen. SNES Online could happen
and I'd pay extra for it too. Give me SNES Online. I'd pay extra.
You would pay extra, huh? Interesting. Oh yeah. You hear that, Nintendo? This man's willing to spend.
I'll be a whale for an SNES Online.
Yes.
you give me a few RPGs because they have that past the controller mode.
Well,
I could do that with some RPGs, man, with some JRPGs, and if they throw in some games like Super Metroid and stuff like that, I would play that all the time.
I saw a good point made that this is actually a better value proposition than the virtual console, because you're getting $20 a year. You're getting all these games that on the virtual console cost you $5 a piece.
Yeah, you get 4. You would get 4 Virtual Console NES games for what it costs to get this service for a year.
Yeah, exactly. And they're adding about 3 games per month, about a clip. So you're thinking, just in 1 month, you're already getting your money's worth.
Yeah.
So it's about, especially once they start, like you said, once they start adding like Super Nintendo, then
if they do, hopefully they do.
well, they will. Come on, that's not an if at this point. You're saying like if they originally announced it with NES and Super Nintendo games, and the Super Nintendo games mysteriously didn't appear. But I think it's because Nintendo's being Nintendo and they're piecemealing this stuff like they did with the Virtual Console.
I say it because the iconography for that app, and I mean the app on the phone, I mean like the actual application on the Switch that has all those NES games in it. The iconography for that is all based on the NES. So if they did SNES, it's not like they would add SNES games to that. They would create like,
it would probably be a
one.
separate app.
And at that point, I think, well, it would make sense they'd charge separately for it, I think.
No.
I would pay for that, but if they did that.
They wouldn't get away with that. That would be stupid.
I don't know if they would put up SNES games for a $20 a year subscription.
That was the original plan.
Well, the original plan was they were going to give you like one game a month for that month, and then take it away. If you remember,
I don't know if they ever said that. Like that was speculation. They never gave details when they announced that. Like
yeah, but they did say it was going to be one game. They didn't say whether they were going to take it away, but they did say it was going to be one game.
I think originally they suggested the way they worded it was that they would be temporary.
Yeah.
That's what they were, the way they worded it. And then they kind of had to backtrack on that and be like, nope, it's not temporary, don't worry. The way they worded it is like, you could download a game for a month. And then after that month, like, you would no longer have access to that game, and it would be a different game that you can download. I mean,
people figure that they were going to end up releasing the game.
They were just spitballing at that point. They didn't know what the fuck they were going to do.
The common perception, what people thought that meant basically was that they would give you a game for a month, you'd get it for a month, and then it would expire, but it would give you the option to buy it. And then they'd have a new game that you'd get for free for a month. And then at the end of that month, you'd get the option to buy it. That was kind of what people thought was going to happen. Nobody really thought that we were going to get basically this, Netflix kind of situation that we have now. And for classic NES fans, Netflix has got to be like a great thing, besides not being able to remap the buttons and having the button positions kind of weird. For me, I want SNESflix.
Well, yeah, it's going to be extra,
and I would pay extra.
It's coming. You won't have to pay extra.
I'm hoping.
Have some faith. Have some faith. Nintendo.
That's things not to say to an atheist.
Yeah. Well, you got to have some faith in your life, and
if in nothing else than in Nintendo.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's move on to our next main topic, because we never got on really away from the Game Awards topic. We kind of segued around and talked about
we talked about NES Online. That had nothing to do with the Game Awards.
But we never got on to our next official topic.
Oh, what's the next official topic?
Smash Brothers.
Smash Brothers! I know I have.
Will I have to update you?
Mm-hmm.
I ordered Smash Brothers.
Oh man, they got you.
Yeah. I've been talking to Will this whole time. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it on the old Switcheroo podcast, but I talk to him every time before the podcast. We'll talk about it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to buy Smash. I'm not going to buy it until later. I'm not going to buy it till later. I bought it. I got it. I bought it's already preloaded on my system, just waiting for that key to unlock.
I pre-ordered, I got the collector's edition coming from Amazon, which comes with the Smash Brothers Pro Controller and the Steelbook case. And then I have the Amiibo coming.
Then you're going to take that Smash Bros. Pro Controller, throw it in the trash, and get a GameCube controller?
Oh, I have a GameCube controller. I bought the GameCube controller and the adapter last month. So now so I'm also now going to have the Pro Controller. That's going to be my second Pro Controller. Because I have to have everything.
Which Smash you will use for every Switch game except Smash.
Yeah.
It's the anti-Smash Pro controller. I'm just gonna use my Pro controller for Smash. I don't have the GameCube adapter. So last time when I got it on the Wii U, I felt it was almost unplayable with with the button layout on a regular controller. It was really bothering me, and I was trying to get the GameCube adapter, and it was sold out everywhere, if you remember, at that time. So I couldn't get it. I just couldn't. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm just sitting on this game that I own. Why the hell am I doing this? I need to play it. And so I just went in and tweaked my button layout, and I basically made the controls kind of like Bayonetta. I made them like Bayonetta style controls instead of like Smash Bros. And I got used to that really quick. I was like, okay, I kind of like this control scheme now. So now I don't mind not using a GameCube controller on Smash. So instead of getting a GameCube adapter or doing any of that for Smash this time, I'm just going to use my Pro controller, and I'm going to set it up like Bayonetta again. But I got it. I got the pack with the Fighters pack, because if I'm going to get it, might as well.
I still haven't got the Fighters pack, but I'm going to get it, obviously.
Today I put in my code for Piranha Plant on the eShop, which isn't coming till next year, I think, but they already put out the code for people who bought it. I think that's just going to probably come in your package, right?
Probably. Hopefully. It better. It better be there.
But yeah, so I'm getting Smash Brothers after long saying I wouldn't. I was always gonna get it, but I was gonna try to hold off on getting it, and I just said fuck it.
Gonna be one of those people.
I think the main thing that made me have to get it right away was Piranha Plant. Man, it was the idea that I would have to buy Piranha Plant. If I didn't get it.
First, you're down on Smash Brothers. You're down on Ninja Gaiden. Are you really a Nintendo fan?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely a Nintendo fan. Smash though, man, I already regret buying it. I bought it, but I already regret it.
The only thing I don't have for Smash is the official strategy guide.
I don't need a strategy guide.
I got the amiibo coming in the mail. I'm ready. I got everything. I'm ready.
I already know how to play this game. I don't need the strategy guide. The only things you have to do are have everybody pick Jigglypuff, turn all the items on max, and go to the most chaotic stage.
Yeah. Man, you don't buy it for practicality. You buy it because the pretty pictures and it's hardcover and stuff.
Yeah, I don't need that. I look at all my pretty pictures on digital devices and stuff. I keep kind of minimalist as far as materials go. That's why I also buy everything digital. So I just don't like taking up space. Real estate's expensive in California, man. Can't take up that much room.
Yeah.
You're living on top of your Nintendo stuff, aren't you? It's that's your bed. It's a pile of amiibos with a sheet over it.
Yeah, it's a pile of amiibos.
with a fitted sheet wrapped around it.
I made a joke that I can't wait for Smash Brothers, so I just recreate Smash Brothers battles with my amiibos.
That's not you recreating Smash Bros. That's you tripping over all of your amiibos because you don't have enough room for them. You land on it. You happen to be wearing white gloves to keep your hands warm, and they smash into one of the characters.
Yeah, that's actually the plot of Smash Brothers. That's actually the spoiler at the end of the World of Light.
It's a guy living in a small New York apartment with white gloves to keep himself warm, tripping over all his amiibos and stabbing his hands on them. That's Smash Brothers. Like I said, I'm already regretting purchasing it just because I'm oh god, I just spent $85 or whatever on this game. But at the same time, I'm gonna dive right into immediately. The first thing I'm gonna do, I think, is go into that adventure mode. What's it called?
World of Light.
World of Light. That's it. I'm gonna go right into adventure mode, World of Light, right off the bat. That's the first thing I'm gonna do, and see if it's any good. But yeah, so that's kind of Smash. Is there anything else to say about Smash?
Not really.
It's
what
coming
is
very
there to
soon.
say? It's coming Friday. I don't know. Play it.
Alright, let's move on to our next topic, which is the standout games of 2018, which there aren't a lot of.
Smash Brothers? Smash Bros.
I was able to write down 3 games, one of which I haven't even played.
No,
That's my standouts of 2018.
I played Mega Man 11 is definitely one of them on Switch.
See, Octopath Traveler.
Yeah, I haven't played it, but yeah, I would say so.
That's my favorite game of the year so far.
Nice.
I also put down Super Mario Party, which it's not a great game, but it definitely, it's the best Mario Party game in a while. It's close to a return to form for Mario Party. I think the one thing that kind of pisses me off more than anything about that game is that it doesn't let you use, like, pro controllers. Which is kind of annoying because it means if you want to play like multiplayer, you got to get more Joy-Cons. It's frustrating. Like, I understand where they're coming from. The idea is like, because they're using the motion and everything, but you can do all that motion with the pro controllers. Just give me the option. I know I know it's not as natural to hold it like vertically and shit, but give me the option. That's all I'm saying.
I think Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, I haven't played it yet. I have it in front of me. I want to play it, but I'm being prevented from playing it, having responsibilities. So as soon as I'm free from those responsibilities, I am going to play it. But like,
you get Pikachu or Eevee? I
got Eevee.
Okay.
But like, that's been getting good reviews, good impressions, you know? People seem to like it.
I've been hearing a lot, like, about the animations. That's what people have been really raving about, is like, there's a lot of like custom animations based on situations, like with the Pokemon. Like if you're using one that rolls, and if he's rolling downhill, he kind of goes out of control or something. Like, I've been hearing like all sorts of stuff like that. Talking in general about how they put a lot of detail into that.
I know, like, one cool thing is like Pokemon will like have a specific animation that they'll do before like they're about to run away. So like if Pokemon does that animation, you know, they're about to just like run from the battle, so you can like prepare accordingly.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Apparently there's a lot of attention to detail in that, though. In the same way, like, I remember people talking about Mario Kart 8 a lot when that game came out, about how there was so much attention to detail in the way, like, characters would look at each other as they passed each other, and all the little kind of small details in the background stuff. That's what I've been hearing a lot of people talking about with the Let's Go Pokemon games, is that they put in lots of little details in the animations and stuff, like, everywhere. There's just tons of them. So that's cool. It's cool to see actual effort being put into a game that could have just been kind of like a throwaway game for Nintendo, you know? This very well could have been like, oh, we have to wait for, you know, Pokemon's next year, but to keep fans, you know, sated till then, like, let's just shit out a Pokemon game.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's very well what Let's Go could have been. And the fact that they apparently put in so much effort into just like little details and stuff, like, speaks very highly of their work ethic towards the game, which is good.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
The other game I put down for 2018, and I haven't even played it yet, because I have a friend that's got the game, and I'm waiting for him to start it, because I want to start at the same time as him, so we can kind of compare notes. And that's, it's actually DLC for me, but it was released as a standalone game, and that's Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and it's the Torna expansion, which was also released as a standalone game, and they changed a lot of the game. Like, they radically changed, like, the combat system, everything.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. Game operates completely differently. It's got completely different characters, and it's like a prequel. It takes place like thousands of years before, something like the first game. And it's got like, yeah, just like the whole game systems have been completely reworked and changed. So, I've been kind of eager to play that, but haven't been able to yet. I'm waiting for a friend on that one. I want to play alongside somebody and kind of chat as we do it. So I haven't done that in a while. I haven't done that since like Zelda, right. Where I've had a game that a game that's like a big adventure that I wanted to kind of share in the conversation with as I was playing it, you know? So, I'm waiting for that on that game. But yeah, that's otherwise 2018 for Nintendo, kind of light. A lot of ports this year. I remember people were really psyched about, Bayonetta 2, 1 and 2. Those came out when, like February, right?
Yeah, February, yep.
Yeah, I remember people were really psyched about that, but it's like I'd already played them on Wii U.
Oh yeah, they're port. It's like, as much as like, I love ports for the fact that like, I get to play them on Switch,
Mhm.
But like other than that, like it's ports. I wouldn't like call it the highlight of the year, you know? Like
Unless you missed it before.
right.
In that case, it's new to you, and it's like it's not a multiplayer game with like tons of replay value. Like I double dipped on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I'd already owned the game. I already owned all the DLC. I bought it again, and I didn't buy it for the battle mode, which was new. So like I didn't really get anything new or much new out of Mario Kart 8 by double dipping. But it's just because I play that game so much that having it on my Switch meant that I could unhook my Wii U. So that's why I bought it. That's why I double dipped on it. I'm not really going to play Bayonetta 1 and 2 again. Like I really enjoyed those games, but I'm not going to play them again. So double dipping just kind of wasn't really necessary for me for that. So, I didn't get that. I didn't get, Captain Toad. There are some new levels in it, but those levels aren't worth the price of entry when I'd already owned it on Wii U, anything else that stood out for you in 2018 on Switch?
I think I mentioned it, Mega Man 11.
Yeah.
Other than that, I didn't play a lot of games. Like, sorry, I just don't. I just don't play that many games like lately because I am so busy, and also like I lack money, financial like strain, so it prevents me from like just going crazy and buying games. Like I want to, but
why buy games when you can buy Amiibo?
Exactly. When I like all the Amiibo, like I spent my yearly game budget on Smash Brothers. Okay. Like that was it. It's like it's worth it.
So yeah, not a lot on Switch this year, unfortunately. But it's not so bad. Like it's a down year, but the reason that that's kind of acceptable is because last year was so fucking epic. With game releases on the Switch, that it just kind of like I went into this year like still working through my backlog of 2017. Like still happily working through my backlog of 2017 games. So 2018 didn't have a lot for me, but I got my fill in other places. I got, lots of shows to watch. I got lots of, stuff from 2017 on the Switch to play through. Stuff like that, and if you're an indie gamer, then 2018 was a glorious time for Switch. Cause, we well crossed over the line of 1,000 games on the Switch. Thanks largely to indie titles. But that brings us to our last topic of our podcast tonight, which is 2019 and the games that are coming up.
2019 is going to be amazing. Let's see, there is actual Gen 8 Pokemon coming out. So, like, I'm excited for it. I don't know, like, I don't think Tyson, I don't think you're a big Pokemon fan, right?
No, I'm not a big Pokemon fan.
I'm just like a weirdo. I'm just like one of the weirdos who, like, I got into it when it came out, even though I was, like, way too old for it. Like, I was 17 when this game came out. And, like, everybody I know who's into it is, like, much younger. And it's like, I don't know. I was just a weirdo.
Hanging out with the 8-year-olds on the block.
Hanging out with the 8-year-olds. Yeah, they
talking about a Squirtle.
Thankfully, I had my sister, so I could trade Pokemon with my sister. But yeah, it's like I get like the game came out and like you're too old. I just got like obsessed with it because I thought the concept was really neat. Like I still am like a big JRPG fan.
You were fairly new to JRPGs at that point too, right? So that for you that would have been kind of a new.
Not by '98 because I started playing JRPGs like when Chrono Trigger came out. Like in
That was like what, 95, 94?
Yeah, that was about 94, 95. So it'd been a few years. And of course, like I ate up practically every JRPG that came out on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
So I had been, pretty experienced with them by that point, by 98. And it was a period where I was just literally eating up every JRPG that came out, because I loved the genre. And I was like, I was obsessed with like Final Fantasy. I was obsessed with Chrono Trigger. And so like, I had actually read about this in a game magazine. I had actually read about Pokemon in a game magazine where they were talking about like it was a Japanese RPG where you collected monsters and they fought for you. And I thought, well, I just remember my reaction being, but that's an amazing concept. That's
combines my two favorite things, JRPGs and cockfighting.
Yeah. I just thought that's an amazing concept because instead of battling the monsters, you recruit them and then they fight for you. And I'm just like, okay, that's really cool. I gotta like check that out if that ever comes to the US. And then it did.
You gotta give Pokemon credit not just for the number of clones of the game that came out, but the number of games that weren't clones of it, but that took mechanics from the whole like monster training aspect of it. Like, so there's like tons of games that aren't even like Pokemon clones at all, but they added in like this little like side thing you could do that was totally based on Pokemon, on like raising and, you know, breeding and training and fighting and capturing monsters, you know? And that all started with Pokemon.
Yeah, that all started with Pokemon. Like, yeah, because, like I said, yeah, that's why the concept, because there wasn't, like, anything that I knew of like that had you, like, capturing monsters and battling with them. That concept was completely new at the time. So, I think that's why it struck the chord that it did, because it was a different concept. It was also, like, easily accessible as far as, like, JRPGs go. It's a pretty simple game, you know, it's light on story and it's like very accessible. It wasn't like Final Fantasy where there's like this labyrinthine complicated plot and like all these systems, you know, like, you know, that's why Final Fantasy VII never got big with like the 8-year-old crowd. You know, like, it wasn't, so it was definitely like geared towards kids. I could see that. But, you know, it piqued my interest. And then, like, when the actual games came out, like, I got bitten by the bug. Like, I got obsessed with that. Like, and I've been a Pokemon fanboy since. Like, I've played all the games. I've beaten all the games. There's been points in time where I've actually collected all the available Pokemon. And I have, like, a bunch of Pokemon. I have 2 Nintendo 3DSs that are Pokemon 3DSs. And I'm like, wait, why did I do that?
The same reason I bought Smash. You just had to.
Right? I just had to. So when I say, so for me, Gen 8 next year, that's a big deal. For you, it's probably not a big deal, but for me, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
So that's
also the first, like, mainline Pokemon game on a console.
That's why it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not just the next mainline Pokemon game. It's not just a mainline Pokemon game on a console. It's the first mainline Pokemon game on a console. So it's a huge deal. I know a lot of people are going to be psyched for that. And I think Switch sales they're already good, are going to fucking explode when that game comes. And you know they're going to come out with like a custom Switch. It's like, you know, now, like a lot of the custom Switches that have been coming out have been kind of like weak. Like, you know, they have like an etching design on the dock, and then like maybe custom Joy-Cons, like maybe, and that's like it. You know they're gonna go fucking whole hog on the mainline Pokemon game when that comes out. They're gonna have like a full-on Switch that looks just like a Pokemon. That's gonna, like, the base unit's gonna be colored, and there's gonna be fucking like animal ears sticking off of the Joy-Cons and shit. And those systems are gonna sell like through the fucking roof. That game is going to be huge.
Yeah, that game is going to be huge. And then on top of it, they have Animal Crossing, which is also going to be huge. If you remember how big Animal Crossing was on the Nintendo DS, like that sold insane amounts of numbers on the Nintendo DS. Like,
I'm waiting to see more on that. Like, I think I'm kind of done with Animal Crossing unless it's like the Mario Kart 8 of Animal Crossings.
I don't know.
Unless it's like the Animal Crossing that like revitalizes and gets everything, makes it all exciting again. Unless it does like that, then I'm probably just gonna.
But New Leaf wasn't that game for you? Like,
no.
New Leaf was amazing.
No, there wasn't enough new from the old game stuff.
To be fair, like
stuff you could buy, or like costumes and.
To be fair, like New Leaf was actually like my first Animal Crossing game. So like
I'd played it on GameCube. I'd played it on, you know, the original DS. That was enough. Like, there wasn't enough that they changed.
Right.
And I'm waiting for, I always bring up, whenever I talk about this kind of situation, I always bring up Mario Kart 8, because Mario Kart had become a bit stagnant as a franchise. Like, it looked like there just wasn't a lot of effort put into it anymore. They were reusing assets like constantly, and it was getting kind of noticeable. And then 8 came out, and it was like you could tell they put in a ton of effort effort and love and attention to it, you know? There was just like, the main criticism is that they basically got rid of the traditional battle mode, and you could tell the reason they did that is because they literally just ran out of time, you know? That's why they put it back in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but 8 itself, like the game mechanics, the look of it, everything, they put so much into the attention to detail of that game. I always use that as like a standing point when I try to say, like, I said like Super Mario Party was kind of like the Mario Kart 8 of Mario Party, because it like revitalized that after like a few kind of really bad games in the franchise, you know? That's how I feel about Animal Crossing right now. Like, I want the Mario Kart 8 of Animal Crossing. If that comes out, I'll get it. If it doesn't look like it's that, then I'm gonna skip it. And, you know, when I say that, I don't mean I want like a Animal Crossing racing game. I just mean I want the Animal Crossing game that revitalizes that game, you know, that like makes it exciting again. And if that happens, I'll get it. I'm not too excited about that though, but you know what else is coming out next year? Fire Emblem.
Fire Emblem, that's another exciting one. Yeah, I think that's coming out in the spring. Like, and then let's talk about other things that are possibly coming out. Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah. Bayonetta 3.
Bayonetta 3. Like, you know, yeah, 2019 compared to 2019 sounds stacked for the Switch.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
I could not be happier. I could not be more excited, you know.
There's other games too. I mean, Shin Megami Tensei 5 is probably going to be a 2019 game.
Mm-hmm.
That game was announced when the Switch was in the January event, like right before the Switch came out. That was like the real Switch reveal event. They had that little trailer that came out like a couple months before that just kind of revealed the concept of the system, but nothing really else. Then in January they had that of 2017. They had that big event where they showed like a ton of games. There's a lot of those games we haven't gotten yet that were revealed then, you know? And one of the ones I'm excited for there is Shin Megami Tensei 5. Since then, there's been some kind of like small stuff that's come out like in Japan about that game. Like there was another trailer that came out kind of, for it. So, but we haven't really gotten a lot in that. I think we're going to get that game in 2019. At least Japan's going to get it in 2019. Hopefully we
Right. Hopefully we get it too.
There's some other ones too. I mean, we know for certain Travis Strikes Back, the next No More Heroes game.
Yoshi, the new Yoshi game is coming out.
The new Yoshi game, which looks really kind of cool. I love when Nintendo does those craft style games, you know? I love the looks of the crafting stuff that Nintendo does.
Definitely.
So that game has like a really cool look to it. That could be kind of fun. God, yeah, I'm trying to think what else is really big that's coming next year. Oh, from third-party stuff. There's even some old games that I'm really excited for. Saints Row 3. Have you ever played Saints Row 3 before?
No, I think I should. Yeah, I do. I have it on Steam, actually.
But did you play it?
No.
That's the thing about Steam games. I have tons of Steam games. I probably played like 4 of them.
Not really. Yeah, here it is, Saints Row the Third. I played 3 hours according to Steam, so I played 3 hours of it.
You just turned it on, played with the settings, and opened up the first mission, basically.
Pretty much.
Well, here's the thing about Saints Row 3, man. Saints Row 3 made me hate all other sandbox games.
Really?
Because it's the sandbox game that doesn't take things seriously. And because of that, you can pretty much do anything. I mean, you can run around and attack people with a, 18-inch dildo as your weapon, you know? You can get into a car and ride, and your character and your passenger will start singing a Sublime song together. I mean, there's just like, it's just so much like weird, funny kind of stuff in that game. And you can just kind of go around. It's got like ragdoll physics, so you can just, like, there's a mini game where you can literally like run in front of cars and try to collect insurance money by like bouncing off cars as they hit you and try to collect as much like insurance fraud as possible. There's so much in that game that is just ridiculous and fun. And it's kind of like when you first heard about GTA 3, and as like a sandbox game, and they said like, oh, you can do anything. And then you actually play it and you're like, yeah, but it's kind of a pain in the ass. You want to kind of stick to the narrative structure. It's easy to die, and then you're not really having fun anymore. So you can do anything, but you're mostly going to just kind of stick to the story and the side quest, Well, like this is the sandbox game where you really feel more tempted to just go off and do crazy shit because that's where all the fun is. Like it's actually fun when you do that. It doesn't like punish you like GTA does. And so that's why I say like it made me hate other sandbox games because I can't go back. Like I try to play other sandbox games and it's like I can't, they take themselves too seriously and they put too many systems in your place. There's too much, it's too easy to like die or end up in a bad situation where you get captured or you have to like, you know, like get out of a situation instead of just enjoying it. And that's the opposite of what Saints Row is. Saints Row is about like getting yourself into that situation where you're being chased by like all the military and the police and all the different gangs and stuff and then enjoying that that's happening to you. That's what Saints Row is about.
Right.
And it's also, I don't know how it's going to be on Switch, but you could play that game multiplayer as well. I played with a friend and we were just going around and just causing havoc in the city. And he had a save file with all sorts of shit that was like really high level that he started busting out. So when the government started coming in with tanks, he came in with like this 8-bit tank that was like shooting sprites.
Awesome.
And then he got out of it and we were like doing wrestling moves on characters in the street as we were like running by him and stuff. Like we just run by some random pedestrian and like grab him by the head and do like a Stone Cold Stunner or something. It was hilarious and it was so fun. And it just, yeah, like I said, it just ruins sandbox games because it's the true sandbox game.
Right.
You know? That's like the best way I can put it. You know, it's like after you play Breath of the Wild, it's hard to go back to another open world game because when they always say, see that mountain over there? You can go to that mountain, but you can't climb that mountain. You know what I mean? Like you still feel kind of gated off, but then you play Breath of the Wild and it's like, yeah, you can like hang glide to places. You can climb on anything. You can, that kind of like true freedom that you get. That's kind of what Saints Row is like. It's that true freedom of being able to kind of really do anything within that sandbox environment. So yeah, that's another one for 2019 I'm excited about. And I do own that on Steam as well. And I'm going to double dip for that game.
Yeah, I hope third parties have like a bunch of good stuff to come out next year. It's a little bit more murky on the third party front since we don't really know a lot of games.
Yeah, there's not a lot to look forward to, but that's just the kind of like the life of a Nintendo fan, right?
Yeah, that's the life of a Nintendo fan since the N64. Like, yeah, pretty much. We're
the
used
last
to it.
Nintendo system where you're like, we're gonna get every game was the SNES. So yeah, so it's gonna be managed expectations for third parties, but then the first party stuff is more than enough to make 2019 just look stunning. So yeah, super excited for 2019. Is Pokemon your top pick for 2019? Is that the game you're absolutely most excited for?
Bro, no, Metroid Prime 4 would be my most
4?
anticipated.
For me right now, I'd say
like,
Bayonetta 3.
Because, Metroid Prime was a revelation on the Cube. That was just, I don't know, that game still amazes me to this day. So I'm definitely looking forward to Prime 4.
And you think we're going to get a trailer for that tomorrow?
Yeah, I do. I think that's going to be the Game Awards. I think that's going to come with a Metroid Prime trilogy, and can't wait.
So this is Nintendo, which means Nintendo always kind of like holds back information. Sometimes even stuff that seems like it should be obvious.
I mean,
you think we're going to find out who's making it? That's what I'm going to ask.
We know who's making it.
Well, there's rumor.
Bandai Namco.
There's rumor. I'm just saying, like, they could show a full trailer, have a playable demo, do like a 2-day Treehouse Live thing, and never tell us who's making the game.
We probably won't know that. I'm gonna say that right now.
Be interesting to see. I mean, if it is Bandai Namco, that's going to be kind of interesting.
It is.
Do you think that means they're moving away from first person, or do you think they're going to stick with first person?
They better stick with first person. That's Metroid Prime. Like, if it wasn't, it'd be like it'd be Metroid Other M. Right? Like, come on. Like, I think Metroid Prime is kind of defined by it being first person. And the whole reason Metroid Prime was first person was because, like, they originally designed it to be a third person behind the shoulder. And I think Miyamoto, like, didn't like that when he played it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they said, and I think Miyamoto suggested the first person perspective, and that worked a lot better.
Yeah, there's all sorts of weird stories about Miyamoto's involvement in that game.
Yeah.
From that era, like him
But I do,
like looking through a bug size or something at
I
one
do
point.
remember like seeing some early screenshots where it was like an over the shoulder, of Samus.
Yeah, it looked really bad back then.
Yeah, it did. It did.
Not
like
just in the perspective, but just in
I wasn't excited for the game leading up to it because it was new, unproven developer and it looked pretty bad, and I just had no hope of it being good. But then it came out and it blew way past good. It blew to being amazing to being possibly like the best game on the GameCube.
As a huge Metroid fan at the time, I was really bummed when they announced it was first person.
Right,
like,
I can imagine.
When news first came out, it was like, oh god, why? It was so disappointing. And, especially after we missed it, because we didn't get a Metroid game in the N64 era at all. Like handheld or console, we didn't get anything.
Yeah. Metroid was like considered a dead franchise after Super Metroid.
So when they started talking about doing it on GameCube, it was like, oh my god, this is going to be amazing. And then it's like, it's this new studio that's made up of people from like Iguana and stuff. And it's like, oh, Iguana, they're a pretty good developer. That's interesting. That this new developer is made up from them. So that they got good people. What are they going to do with it? And it's going to be first person. I was like, oh, no. It was around when they started coining the term first person adventure, and they were insisting, like, don't call it a first person shooter, it's a first person adventure. And
it was also like at the time, like, I didn't think you could do like an adventure game in first person. Like, I just thought like the platforming would be awkward because like I had played Turok earlier, and I did not like the platforming in Turok, so I just found it to be miserable, so I just thought the same problems would plague Metroid Prime. But one of the really remarkable things about Metroid Prime is when you play it, there is a lot of platforming in that, but it feels natural somehow.
Yeah. I mean, it's not as acrobatic as the 2D Metroids.
Well, no.
But
still,
the fact that you could still do like some double jumping and do like some stuff and have confidence that you're going to land in the right spots was kind of a revelation at the time.
Yeah, it was. I was like, that part was particularly amazing to me when I played it. That it just felt so smooth and sure.
So that's going to be exciting to see what they do with that. Because, I mean, this isn't the team that did the Prime game, so this might not be good.
Yeah, I mean, there's the possibility. Don't jinx it. But
we'll have to see what happens with this. 'Cause,
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We haven't had a real Metroid game in a while. So, I mean, we didn't have, and, I say real, like, I personally, I don't consider Prime to be main Metroid just because it's like, it's a different game. It's like, it's kind of like talking about a 2D Mario versus a 3D Mario. They're different games, the difference is that Mario kind of became the 3D Marios, whereas like Metroid kind of split. It kind of like it hit a fork in the road and it took both paths.
Right.
And both paths, like one kind of stayed the same. And that was like, you got stuff like Fusion and Zero Mission. And then when that went 3D with Other M, like, even though most people hate that game, I'm in the minority that likes it because I like the acrobatic.
Oh my god.
I like the acrobatic nature. Actually, Game Witness, who we partner with a lot, quite a few people there are really big fans of that game.
I don't know. I don't have an opinion on that game. Sorry.
People hate it, and some of the complaints are notable, like they're good points, and a lot of them aren't. A lot of them are like pure bias, like they just didn't want that. But what I liked about the game is that it's fast and that, like there's aspects of the exploration that are toned down, but there's other aspects of the exploration that are very Metroid-esque. And there's like, it's kind of a mixed bag. Like there's things they did that, like, I understand why people are upset by them, but like as kind of like a one-off in that series, if like they made the next game in the series and it was exactly like that too, I might be upset. But as this kind of like one-off, almost prequel-esque game that takes place in this weird space in it, I kind of liked it. But anyways, getting off topic.
It's getting off topic.
The main point I was trying to make is, like, we haven't had a 2D Metroid or that style of Metroid that, did go 3D with Other M or a Prime game in a while. Like, the only Metroid things we've had in this whole past generation have been a mini game in Nintendo Land and Federation Forces, which is like,
Yeah.
talk about other M being hated. Federation Forces is like a whole other level of hate.
Which makes Metroid Prime 4 significant.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
So now we know that Metroid can come back, and then it can skip an entire generation, and then come back again.
Yeah. Hopefully this means we just get a slew of Metroid. I want to get a 2D Metroid too. I want to get I have to correct it. Metroid Prime 4 isn't the first real Metroid game because at the same time Metroid Prime 4 was announced, like moments later they announced that.
Samus Returns.
Yeah, which did come out.
That did come out, but that was a remake.
Yeah.
It's technically not a new game.
Well, I mean, it's the same story, but I mean, it's a Metroid game. That's very little story. The game, it went from being 2D to 3D and...
Not the same game, not the same content.
Yeah, it's so much, is such a huge, reinvention of that game.
But yeah, they did.
But yeah, man, I'm hoping for more of that. Hey, just give us Samus Returns on the Switch. I want that too. Maybe they'll announce that at the Game Awards. Maybe if they announce maybe they'll do like they did with Bayonetta, where they're like, Bayonetta 2's coming, and we're also bringing Bayonetta 1. And now here's a trailer for Bayonetta 3. Maybe this year they'll do like, Metroid Prime Trilogy, it's coming. And guess what? Everybody wanted Samus Returns on Switch? Here it comes. But this is what you've been waiting for, Metroid Prime 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they'll do that.
After that Final Fantasy blowout that they had at that one Direct, I wouldn't be surprised by like a whole franchise blowout like that. Because who was expecting that Final Fantasy one where they're like, play Final Fantasy 7 and also play 9 and 10 and 12 and these sub games. Play them all. I could totally see them doing like a bunch of stuff with Metroid. That would be cool. But that's it. That's kind of all we got to talk about.
Yeah.
Is there anything else Nintendo related you want to talk about?
No, I think we hit on everything that I could think of.
Yeah, that kind of wraps it up. So, I'm going to edit this fairly quickly. I'm going to do a little bit less editing than I normally do on our TV podcast.
So where's this going to be posted up at?
I'll post it on the Total Screen.
Okay.
We have that website now, so why not?
Yeah, let's use it.
So yeah, this will be up on the Total Screen. It'll be up on YouTube and on the Total Screen to check out. If you like this podcast, you like hearing what we have to talk about, and you also happen to like TV, check out our other podcast. It's our regular weekly podcast, The Weekly Set. You can get that on iTunes or Pocket Cast or any podcast client. Just look up either the Total Screen or The Weekly Set, and you should be able to find it. And check out our website, thetotalscreen.com. It's mostly TV stuff. We also put up some stuff, like we did put up the last old Switcheroo we did, I think. That podcast we did put up on the Total Screen, and we've talked about doing some more kind of like movie content and stuff. I think Alex actually did write some movie articles at one point. So we kind of cover anything that could be on a TV screen, basically. That's why it's called the Total Screen. We didn't want it to be limited to just TV. But yeah, so check out our TV podcast. That's the one we do every week. This week we're gonna be, the one I just put up, we're talking about the winter TV preview. And this next week we're gonna be talking about, talking about video games. We're gonna be doing Castlevania, the Netflix series. We're gonna be talking about season 2 of that with some people from Game Witness. So, check that out if you're interested at all. But, that's it for this show. So thank you everybody for listening.